I stare at the scenery in front of me and feel nothing. I lay uncomfortably, a husk of what once stood. Broken, beaten, left for dead. I lay on the cold sand and I watch the water pass on by. But when I try to listen to the soothing sounds, I met only with deafening silence. I watch the trees swaying back and forth with the wind, and the leaves rustling among the branches, but I do not process, I simply watch. Like a disposable camera, the moment was there, captured for an instant, but remained undeveloped. I lay on the ground, wet and cold. I lay and I watch, and I don't process. I lay and I knew these were my final moments. Laying there, drowning in myself, in my sorrow, in my regrets, in my betrayal, in my fear for the unknown journey that was before me, laying there, drowning in my own blood, I reach out to grab the cool bronze alarm clock placed delicately in front of me, just to touch it, as one last act of defiance, one last personal choice made before I could choose no longer, one insignificant, distant, meaningless movement saved my life. At first I felt warmth, real warmth, not the feeling of huddling around a campfire while your back is still being hit with the sharp pain of a cold evening. I mean real warmth. From the inside, it spread out, filling my veins and ending in my fingertips, and then I began to understand. The scene in front of me no longer abstract. I was bleeding out on a damn riverbed. My body was mangled. I know it was. It had to be. But here I am, watching myself get up off the ground as if nothing had happened. I stand tall and I reach back down to grab the bronze alarm clock. Nothing particularly enchanting or unique. A perfect tool for waking up before school, or telling the time when your watch has been broken and your phone was dead, but there was nothing about it. I knew it was the alarm clock that had saved me, but I couldn't explain why. As if it were a living thing, I felt like I owed it, or him. I owed him my life. So out of a sense of obligation, I took him home. And I wish I never did. The next morning, I awoke to a putrid smell, like rotting bodies stacked on top of each other and left out in the sun. I had never felt this feeling before. A smell so intense it felt almost tangible, like it surrounded me, like I could reach out and grab it. Though I didn't have long to process, I was interrupted by the earth-shattering sound of my alarm. My ears began to bleed. The alarm had felt so loud I could feel its vibrations. I couldn't hear myself think. And then I began to feel everything, suffering in perception far beyond all that had preceded it. The toothache I had the night before now felt like knives in my mouth, piercing deep into my gums. My bed felt softer than it had ever felt before, softer than anything I'd ever felt. I could feel the microscopic texture. I could tell where the fibers met to create a seamless design. But the alarm, though the pain and pleasure I was feeling was beyond comprehension, beyond any earthly scale, I could not focus because of that sound. I moved to turn it off, and that's when I opened my eyes. And while my eyelids had been parted before, it wasn't until now when I really opened my eyes. And I wish I never had. Colors I'd never seen before, shadows and creatures appeared before me as if it were commonplace, as if they'd been here all along and I was just too insignificant to see them, but they were all too real now. I'd been able to process too much. My senses are too much. I could comprehend the universe in its full glory, and it was too much. In my pain, in agony, I went out to reach for the once cool and collected alarm clock. He now sat angry and vengeful, watching over me. I knew it had been him who had done this to me. It was he who granted me the betrayal of my senses, my perception of endless pain. It was one last act of defiance to a God who was beyond my understanding. It was one insignificant, meaningless movement.